Ми пережили злети та падіння, переслідування та конкуренцію, тиск влади та свавілля судів. Ми працюємо в умовах гібридної війни. Ми – українські медіа. Нас роз'єднують інтереси власників, але об'єднує любов до країни, у якій ми живемо. Ми змінюємо інформаційний світ, але й самі потребуємо змін. Сьогодні нам потрібні і нові правила спілкування, і нові професійні стандарти. Ми маємо почути один одного, виробити нові правила та діяти. Запрошуємо регіональну директорку місії Агентства США з міжнародного розвитку в Україні пані Сьюзан Фрітц та директора Internews в Україні пана Вейна Шарпа для відкриття конференції.
Hello, welcome everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Internews Conference National Media Talk, the role of independent media in Ukraine. Since 1993, Internews has worked with journalists, media development organizations, civil society activists, and public officials to improve the impact and quality of the independent media in Ukraine. This National Media Conference is a chance for us to do a check on the levels of our development. And I see a lot of friends in the room, people we've worked with over the years. So I'm looking forward to a really productive discussion over the next 2 days. A free media is always at the heart of a free and open society. And Ukraine has embraced freedom and openness with a vigor that has, frankly, inspired the world. So it stands to reason that we also, in Ukraine, want to take a hard look at the media that is at the center of this revolution, to see how it is fair, how it could be better. And that's what this conference is about. Especially during this time, during the time of warfare and the influx of propaganda, it's more important now than ever to talk about the media and to see if we have the media that we can rely on and that we can trust during these difficult times. So over the next 2 days, I look forward to having really frank conversations with some of the leading media figures in this country. And perhaps we can make some progress to see our way forward to making our media that we want in this country. I would like to take this opportunity right now to thank Katya Mesnikova and the Independent Association of Broadcasters for organizing this conference. They did a great job to a very tight deadline. We really appreciate all your efforts. I'd also like to thank my staff at Introducing Ukraine for working hard every single day. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank USAID. The work we've done here since 1993 would not be possible without the financial support of the U.S. agency, International Development. And right now I'd like to invite Sьюзан Фрітц, Mission Director for Ukraine, Belarus, and Moldova, to say a few words to us. Sьюзан?
Thank you, Wayne, and Dobro Ranku. Good morning to everybody. Thank you for inviting me to open this 2-day conference, which addresses critical issues in Ukraine's current media environment. I'm honored that USAID is supporting your efforts to improve the enabling environment for media and to improve freedom of speech in Ukraine. A vibrant civil society is the foundation of a strong, transparent, and accountable democracy. News and social media provide the platforms that inform citizens and give them a voice. Today, Ukraine's independent media are playing a leading role in ensuring that Ukrainians are properly informed about the actions and performance of their government institutions and officials. What's more, independent media are providing citizens platforms through which they can freely influence public policy. A strong independent media is not the standard across the globe as it should be. In 2017, only 13% of the world's population lived in countries with a completely free press. In 2016, 67% of all internet users lived in countries where criticisms of the government, military, or ruling families were subject to censorship. So Ukraine's situation is better. Ukrainians demand they demand access to high quality, diverse, and reliable information. An overwhelming majority stated in a USAID Internews media consumption survey that honesty and reliability are the most important criteria when it comes to measuring. In this respect, today's event must address several important questions regarding Ukraine's current media environment and what is needed going forward to sustain a strong and independent media. First, does Ukraine's mass media put quality content out today? Second, do Ukrainians really know what's happening in their communities? And third, do they receive balanced information? Also, why does Ukraine need a successful public broadcaster, and how can that be accomplished? And finally, a crucial question that addresses the current conflict with Russia. What is a journalist's role in a time of hybrid war, and how does the media counter Russian disinformation? Important for Ukraine and the world. Your participation in this conference will help to better understand the way in which mass media will influence change in Ukraine in the years to come. It will also set the agenda for future discussions on how to shape the Ukrainian media landscape to provide Ukrainians with the best quality information that they need and that they deserve. In closing, know that the United States and USAID remain your partners in supporting strong and independent Ukrainian press. I wish you fruitful discussions over the next 2 days, and thank you for having me here today, and good luck. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. So this conference gives us a great opportunity to share our thoughts on so many media issues: media quality, the role of public service broadcasting, the state of our regional media, and propaganda and steps we can take to counteract it. We will also address here the acceptable limits of state regulation of content during a time of war. For me, this makes me think back to the 5 years that I've been here working in Ukraine, think back to the highs and lows for the independent media in this country. I remember very clearly back in 2012 when journalists were just very deflated, I would say. They've been exposing the injustices of the Yanukovych regime and were not getting much response at all. The only response they were getting, in fact, were getting their phones tapped, getting their hard drives stolen, and in one case, the Yanukovych family bought a media just so they could close it down because they didn't like what the journalists were saying. Those are very dark times. But then Euromaidan happened and the media came alive. It was the independent media that was at the center of that revolution of dignity and showed the world exactly what was happening in this country at that time. So definitely that was a rebirth of the media, a resurgence. They were exciting times, and they lasted until, of course, the Russian invasion of Crimea and the east of the country. And now we're dealing with terms like fake news, patriot journalism, the information war, which has just set up a whole new set of challenges for real journalists in this country. Just a moment to talk about the term fake news. It's not a term I like very much, and I don't use it because what is news? News is a collection of facts gathered by journalists. It can't be true and fake at the same time. I like the term propaganda because that describes what this material is that we're dealing with. It's false material designed to mislead. Fake news for me is like a contradiction in terms, something like a married bachelor, for instance. It's impossible. It just cannot happen. So I don't know who invented the term fake news, but I know it's here to stay. And I'm not going to be using it, but I understand if people still want to use it. It's catchy. I'd like to sort of say a couple of, give you an idea of some of the questions that I have that I would like to have answered during this conference. The first one is, are there acceptable limits on freedom of expression during a time of war? Another question I have, once those limits are put in place, can we ever hope to remove them again? And should journalists be pressured to enlist in the fight against propaganda when propaganda has absolutely nothing to do with what real journalists do, any more than any other profession? As journalists, is propaganda our responsibility and our responsibility alone? It's been my great honor to work with media development organizations and journalists in this country for the past 5 years. And I really look forward to the frank discussion that we're going to have here over the next 2 days. Knowing all of you as I do, I have no fear that this discussion will be frank. That's never been a problem with our group. So I look forward to that. What I would like to do now is to introduce our keynote speaker. Miroslav Marinovich is Senior Vice Rector of the Ukrainian Catholic University in Lviv. He is a member of the Ukrainian Academic Theological Society and of the Ukrainian American Bureau of Human Rights Protection. Professor Marinovich is a founding member of the Ukrainian Association of Amnesty International and first head of its national committee, and he is a co-founder of the human rights organization Ukrainian Helsinki Group. He has spent his life fighting for human rights and has paid a dear price. He spent several years in a gulag for his work. He also, for a brief time in the 80s, worked as a reporter for a local newspaper in Lviv region. I like the name of his talk. It is called "The Word Has Died, Long Live the Word." Please welcome Miroslav Marinovich.